will explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. In addition, Labour Party questioned political office holders' salaries upward review. And in Kogi State, Senator Dino charges women against limiting self in politics. And in politics itself, Atiku's aid blasts Tinubu's economic policies, 15 media aids. And in Africa, Congo-Brazzaville government debunk coup report. Of course, I'll be hosting with Mr. Bestseller, but we have Chief Loveday Okere. He's a community leader, but he's here this morning as a political analyst. Stay with us. We'll come back to you after the break.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Because access to our money will prove in the bank.
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are? representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
What about access to our money we put in the bank?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are? Representing people. Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
What about access to our money we put in the bank?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
All right, welcome back to ATN's Open Conversation. I'd like to quickly introduce Chief Loveday Okere. Good to have you on ATN Open Conversation.
Thank you. Good morning.
And now we get on with the conversation from the top. PDP members are calling on the national leadership of the PDP to, as a matter of urgency, dissolve Rivers State PDP excos from Watsu State to enable the members to separate the wheat from the chaff. A statement signed by the co-coordinator of PDP presidential campaign social media team, Enyi Wisdom, in Rivers State, said by his activities, he has no right whatsoever to speak for Rivers State PDP as he has defected to a cancerous stage 4 APC and therefore call on the general public to disregard his article as one who is speaking from both sides of his mouth and also as an APC member, adding that no reasonable PDP member would make any publication against Mr. Buala, who has the authority to speak for our leader and presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. The attention of the PDP members in Rivers State was drawn to a mindless publication made by one Barrister Chukwu Kingsley on the 16th day of September 2023, wherein he cautioned the spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign team. The PDP member said they are aware that Mr. Chukwu Kingsley is no longer a member of PDP and therefore should not speak on behalf of Rivers State PDP, and that he did not, at the time, defect to APC by his activities and antecedent, just like his paymaster, Chief Wike. Barrister Chukwu Kingsley deferred PDP directive during the presidential election, therefore should be expelled from the PDP before his open declaration to APC, which is already on the no. I'd like to come quickly to you, Chief. This idea of bringing former governor of Rivers State, Jason Wike, into the quagmire anytime anybody says something about PDP, and now if we're from Rivers State and he's pulled into the middle of it, couldn't, in your opinion, you're also a PDP member, by the way, couldn't they have just made their statement to say, oh, so person did this, who is an adult, a former MBA chairperson is not just a child. Couldn't they have just said, okay, this is what this person did, we want this ESCOs dissolved, and want this person expelled from the PDP without dragging Jason Wike into it? Would that have been so difficult to do?
Well, you know, the Constitution has granted the citizens of Nigeria the freedom of speech and freedom of association. So anybody that is before the camera we always say whatever he wants to say, as much as the person's speech is devoid of, tarnishing one's image. It's an opinion, and as far as PDP is concerned, you cannot also discuss any issue of PDP without linking the former governor in one way or the other, because he is the leader of the party in the state. And as a matter of fact, he cannot also mention about PDP even in the country without mentioning the former governor of Rivers State, who has sustained the party, financially, morally, and otherwise before what happened during the past election. So anybody calling for dissolution of Rivers ESCO, maybe is making an opinion, it's a mere opinion. I will say that if the person is a true PDP member, I will say that the person may be still sleeping or has not learned his lessons, because PDP still have a lot on their hands to contend, not to talk of now that you are trying to cut off, or you are trying to say you should cause a crisis where there is none. Rivers PDP is intact. There is no problem in Rivers PDP. There is no fashion in Rivers PDP. So what is the reason of saying you want to disband the ESCO from the world to state? So it is, in fact, doing it is just like cutting the head of a human being. The human being may not breathe anymore. There will be no life in that human being again. If you do that, it means that you have deformed PDP so much that there may be no life on it again any longer.
All right, thank you.
Chief, sir, regarding the rifts that has been within the party, and as it concerns the past governor of Rivers State, Governor Gerson Wike, one would tend to wonder if this is an extension of what the problem been all this while. Atiku, the party, Gerson Wike. Is this a kind of reaction? Are they trying to show their muscle towards Rivers State, or what? What can we make out of this?
I recall that there is a leadership in PDP at the national level, the National Working Committee and the NEC. And before you consider dissolving any executive in any part of the country, the National Working Committee must meet, take that decision, and now such decision must be taken to the NEC, who has the final power, the highest authority to so do. So before you even think of that, you must pass all these processes. And until that is done, before you now think of the next thing to do. But, however, recall that immediately after the general election, the acting national chairman, after when Ayo was removed through the court, the acting national chairman visited Wike here in Rivers State. And they were still trying to see how they can appease him, compare him, make him come back to the house. And they had a discussion, they had a meeting, they left. As it is now, the party is still battling with the matters from tribunal. I'm sure they are heading to court, Supreme Court now. Those things are still serious issues for party to handle. Bringing any other issue within the party now will be a distraction. By the time they are done with the Supreme Court or the tribunal issues, now we begin to look at how to reconcile. Nobody should even be thinking of how to cause more crisis in the party. We should only be thinking of how to reconcile, to see how life can be brought back to PDP, because so much has happened that a lot of people are aggrieved. So the only thing that is left for PDP is to dispense the matter with Supreme Court to see what the Supreme Court will say about the past election. Thereafter, we can now be thinking of how to reconcile everybody, bring everybody together, and to move on. Because after every election is another election. That PDP has lost in this election in 2023 does not mean that PDP will continue to be losing elections. It's just for them to go back and re-strategize to see how they can face 2027 or any other election. We have election in Bayelsa, we have election in Imo State, we have election in Kogi State. So if the party has refused to think of how to win those elections and begin to think of how to start dissolving status quo, it means that they have not learned from their mistakes so far.
You say that the party should be talking about strategizing for 2007, 27, and then that they've lost the election. There's still the Supreme Court, and Atiku Abubakar, your party's leader and presidential candidate, said...
Assuming but without considering that Supreme Court was going to nullify the election, there will still be 2027.
Okay.
So even if Atiku is pronounced to be president today, or the election is nullified, there will still be 2027. Yeah, so we must strategize to see how to, get victory in Supreme Court, and also to move on over what happens in 2027.
Are you a broadcaster?
Before election, there are processes that lead to the election. Casting of vote is just a mere grand finale of the process. But there are other processes that lead to elections and politicking.
Okay, now, when you talk about, because these people are asking for the ESCO to be dissolved, and if you put that side by side and then ask yourself, is there really a party right now that you can say, oh, with the G5 being on one side and nothing seems to be resolved, and of course the Atiku's camp, and either people from the G5 camp making all kinds of threats. For instance, the former governor of Rivers State said that he dared them to remove him from the PDP. And no, his audacity is what makes me, it's like he has a life of its own. So if you bring that to bear to see that nothing seems to be heard from the Atiku's camp, even at the state level in terms of reconciliation, is it fair to begin to look at PDP to see if there's going to be a survivor? Maybe it's time to begin to call for reconciliation on all fronts.
You see, survivor of a political party just takes sacrifices. It doesn't even take 24 hours. People will come to the table and reconcile. The only thing is the willingness, the will to actually know that coming to be in a political party, coming to be in a situation called a political party takes a lot. You must be able to sacrifice what your needs are, what your interests are, to match it with the general interest. It is very obvious that there is an issue in PDP where we had the G5. And the former chairman who was leading the party in the person of Yosha Ayu was unable to bring them together. Now there is a new leadership in PDP. Since there is a new leadership perhaps have been so quiet, maybe monitoring the events. And I'm sure that this calm may not be unconnected with the ongoing tribunal cases that has to do with the election. By the time these cases are dispensed, then the party can now come back and say, okay, this is where we are now, this is our stand. So I do not blame the National Working Committee for being so calm and quiet, because you cannot carry so much problem at the same time. Otherwise, it will suppress you.
So, but just a quick one before we run out of this particular issue. So now, let's assume that there was plans for reconciliation. Do you see any form of reconciliation taking place? Because if there's reconciliation and the Governor Yesewike and the 4 members of the G5 comes together and the Atiku can say, okay, let's bury the hatchet. The question is, whose goal will the governor, being the FCT minister, whose goal will he be pursuing? Is it that of his party or that of the APC as administration?
You see, after election, once people are into position, what is expected is good governance. You do not breach political parties, or you do not construct a road and name it and say it is only a particular political party that will drive on that road. You do not build any school, health center, or whatever and say this, or provide electricity, say this for a political party. Yes, Onwike, being the minister for FCT, is serving the country. So even if he was an appointee from PDP, he's also serving the country. So party politics is different from governance.
So we're going to see him at either of Bayelsa or Kogi to campaign for the APC when they are on it.
You see,
I want to see him on the campaign train.
You see, there have been no reconciliation at the moment.
Yeah, but he's still a member of the PDP.
He's a member of PDP. And even as a member of PDP during the 2023 general election, did you see him campaign for Atiku? He did not. So he's going to go out to campaign for, if the president, for instance, says, go and represent me in Bayelsa. The president,
the campaign grounds,
let me tell you.
Is he going to hold Doyeduri's hand or Silva's hand?
It is not the duty of a minister. It is the duty of the political party. APC has a national chairman.
No, who is he going to support when he gets there? I'm not saying I'm not asking him to hand over the flag or whatever they do join. I'm saying, holding hand in terms of support. Who is he going to support? Is it the Doyeduri or APs? Or...
Governor Nyesom Wike has always come out to tell you and tell the people that he's a member of PDP. And when his name fitted into
the
list of APC through social media handlers or whatever, he came out to say he's a member of PDP.
So we're not going to see him. You don't see him.
I'm not speaking for him. I'm not his media head. But I'm saying that politics being what it is, he cannot see former Governor Nyesom Wike in Bayelsa, Kogi, or Imo State campaigning for APC governors.
All right.
So, but he has a right as an individual to support whomever he wants to support under any guise as a Nigerian, irrespective of his political party. And as we stand now, there is the problem in PDP has not been reconciled. Until then, you can begin to question his activities as a Nigerian and as a member of a political party.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on open conversation this morning. The Adamawa North Senatorial District lawmaker, Senator Ishaku Abo, asserts that the Senator Godswill Ababio and his associates are disseminating the alleged notion of his impeachment. Recall that there were media reports over the weekend stating that plans were underway to impeach Senator Ababio as the president of the Senate when they reconvened September 26, 2023. However, Senator Ababio denied said allegations of his impeachment and labeled the reports as malicious and untrue. On alleged impeachment, in reaction to the report, Senator Abo said, "I woke up today to find over 10 mainstream Nigerian newspapers all carrying news of a plan to impeach Senator Ababio by senators from northern Nigeria. The Whistler newspaper even went on to name Senator Abdulaziz Yari, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, and Senator Ogoshi Onawo, among others, as the senators behind the move." Abo states that as a Northern Senator and an official of the Northern Senators Forum, I boldly affirm that this news is intentionally disseminated and propagated by the camp of Senator Ababio solely to pit President Bola Tinubu against the North. I call on Senator Ababio to rein in his camp as the seeds of discord and deep ethno-religious division they are sowing will not bode well for the country. Why the North? Why in Saudi Arabia?
All right.
Okay, looking at the situation on ground now, concerning the current Senate president, so I mean, it's seriously a puzzle to wonder how this can be put on the table. One side to it is the denial. The other side to it is the claim. Now, how do we explain this to the well-meaning Nigerians? How could one say there's a plan to get him impeached, okay? And there's a defense to that. Please, sir, what's your take on this?
Okay, I want to relate this to a religious story that happened within the disciples of Jesus Christ. I'm quoting this as a Christian. You know, when Jesus Christ told his disciples that one of you here will betray me, and Judas Iscariot stood up and said, "Father, is it me?" Even when his name was not mentioned. You see, there was just an issue. Newspaper, you came up, you woke up in the morning, you saw newspaper publications talking about planned impeachment. And you came up and begin to point back at the man who is about being impeached, that he's the one orchestrating his own impeachment. When even your name was not mentioned in the newspaper. Look, I read, when I was reading through this particular script yesterday, I was laughing. Senator Abu said several things, even complaining about how there is a lopsided appointment in Senate committee, lopsided appointment in so many things. Thank you very much. So I'm just trying to let you know where I'm coming from. You see, it surprises me how somebody who was sleeping in his house and somebody come out to shout, thief, 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 thief. And somebody will come out to say, it was not me that stole it today. It was not me that stole it today. When your name was not mentioned. So this scenario here had just let us unfold the fact that Senator Abu knows much about the rumored impeachment. Because I don't know what Abu will benefit a man who has stayed in office for less than 4 months. I don't know what he benefits coming to tell people that he wants to be impeached. I don't know. So, looking at the credibility of the man who is reacting, Abu, looking at his pedigree, looking at his history as a senator, I would say that it will be very difficult for me to even believe him, because the things that happened that linked him over the things that happened between him and the particular woman in supermarket some times ago, and every other thing.
Was it supermarket? The sex toy shop?
It may be a shop, but it happened. It piques my interest to begin to believe in whatever he will say, because that has already downgraded his personality. For me to regard whatever he will say, he can deceive Nigeria and deceive Nigerians at any point in time, looking at his pedigree. So Senator Abo is just trying to, respond to issues, and at the same time indicting himself, telling the world what either he was about doing or what he has in mind.
Okay, now here is, on this conversation is in two parts. On the first part of the conversation, Senator Akpabio already came out to say that we should disregard any of those conversations about his impeachment. The man who is alleged to be that the northern senators are planning his impeachment. By the way, Senator Abo is one of the northern elders, northern senators members, leading member, by the way. So Senator Akpabio have already come out to say, forget it. There's nothing like that. And now he's coming out to now bring up the issue again. Before we go into the second part, you made an illustration. Using that illustration now, you talked about him being caught in a sex toy, beating up a woman and all of that, and his pressing and all of that. Should we take anything that Senator Abo said
that is
seriously, or just with a pinch of salt?
We should just answered him perfectly. You see, when the story came up, Akpabio said, disregard such information, that there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Now, ordinarily, that would have killed the matter. Now, Senator Abo spring up to say that it is Akpabio that is orchestrating his own impeachment. Even when Akpabio did not mention his name, did not link anybody from the north over his impeachment, Abo now came to say, to the extent that names we are mentioned from the north. That is to tell you, recall that during the election of principal officers in the Senate, in 10th Senate, Senator Abo was the campaign manager to the man from Zamfara State who was the first runner-up with Akpabio. So I'm sure he's still not happy over the emergence of Akpabio.
No.
And what has happened, he has now told the world maybe whatever he may have discussed formally or informally that has, the media has captured. And even when his name was mentioned, he thought maybe people may have caught him, whether on camera or anywhere. He just put it up a defense where there is no accusation.
Now, speaking of Senator Abo's reply to alleged impeachment of the Senate president on the actual issues that came out of his position, Senator Abo said if Akpabio and his camp wanted a united Senate, much like Ahmed Lawan, they could have known exactly what to do during Senate standing committees, allocation and supplementary budget resources allocation. But the camp of the Senate president continued to treat the Senate as a conquered territory where the winner walks away with the spoils of war, a classic case of the winner takes all. The lawmaker said, how do you justify a situation where out of Category A committees, only 2 were granted to his perceived rivals? How will you explain a Senate where 83.1% of those appointed chairmen of Category A committees also serve as vice chairman of Category A? How do you explain a third-term senator being denied the chairmanship of a committee? How do you justify the leadership of the Senate all being vice chairman of Category A committees? You cannot treat us as a conquered people and then return to manipulate us with planted and paid newspaper reports to set us up against the president. Abo also claimed that the 10th Senate was the most condescending parliament. He further referred to the screening of ministerial nominees where the Senate president sought clearance for certain nominees at the villa. He added that the Senate was not given the opportunity to decide on the fate of rejected nominees. Before embarking on its annual recess, the Senate screened 48 ministerial nominees and sent by the president, with 45 receiving approval and 3 being rejected. Among the rejected 3 was former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Let me have this up, please. So, reaction to the senatorial screening, Abo queried the screening. He said, let me pose this question. During the ministerial screening, when 3 ministerial nominees were denied clearance by the Senate, which committee examined the petitions against them, was it ethics, privileges, an ad hoc committee, or the committee of the whole? Was the report deliberated and debated during plenary? Was there any voting, either a yea or a nay? The Senate president simply absented himself during the plenary, leaving the Senate waiting in the chamber for over 3 hours while he was at the villa. This is something that has never occurred in the history of the Senate. Then he returned and read out the names of those declared and waved papers in his hand, citing security report from NSA or DSS as the reason for not clearing some ministers. Abuna said, in my opinion, this is the lowest the Senate has ever descended. Who granted NSA, DSS, DG, or IGP the authority to correspond with the Senate? What kind of communication is that? Executive communication of reckless communication? Are we telling Nigerians that the presidency and the security agencies did not conduct due diligence before sending the list? Anyway, this is basically all of the issues that may have been giving birth to the said impeachment, even though the Senate President Akpabio said there's nothing like that. But Abo's responding to it, listing out all of these angst, clearly tells Nigerians that, hey, there's actually something to all of this. Now, having listed all of this, Chief, you're a politician, speak to us politically speaking now. Should Senator Akpabio be careful because hearing all of this in the media after he had said there was no plan to impeach him, but he's coming out to say that he planted it and then begin to list out and see things that they are not happy about.
Vivian, the only thing I can say here now is that it is very unfortunate that this kind of speeches and attitude is coming from one of the youngest senators we have in the country. Because over time, we have demanded for opportunities to be given to the youths. And the few youths we have had in different positions have disappointed us in several ways. I can mention names, but for obvious reasons, I won't, so that I won't offend certain persons who are not in this particular topic. Senator Abu, let me tell him if he doesn't know. It is, let him thank his God for the opportunity that he has from wherever he comes from to be a senator. That does not mean that it's better than myself seated here today. I can equally be a senator and do better than he's doing in that Senate. But let me tell him that one of the characteristics of Nigerian politics is that of winner takes all. There's no pretense about it. I'm not talking about American politics. I'm not talking about politics in Europe. I'm not talking about politics in Asia. I'm talking about politics in Africa, in Nigeria, West Africa. That you do not pretend that in Nigeria, it is all about winner takes all. Except in this particular regime that we have administration giving appointments to somebody that is of a different political party, and we know the reason why it happened in the person of former Governor Nyesom Wike. If there was no problem in PDP, I don't think that President Tinubu would have given any other political party opportunity to serve. Now, let me also remind him that we can even, that President Bola Tinubu or Akpabio is even magnanimous enough, considering or comparing what happened during President Buhari's regime and that of Ahmed Lawan. Let me remind him that Ahmed Lawan came on national TV to tell us that whatever the former president asked him to sign, he will endorse without looking at it second time. He says so. Let me also remind him that former President Buhari appointed all the service chiefs from the north, appointed all the head of agencies, NMPC, Custom, mentioned them from the north. Abo was a senator within that period. So as we speak today, we have a government that even though there are things you will also describe as lopsided, there's no problem. I've told you here that it is but it's a government that has considered the unity of the nation religiously and politically. Since Notabo, when people were shouting and condemning about Muslim ticket in this country, never said anything as a Muslim to say, oh, President Tinubu, you have taken somebody as a, you are a Muslim, please go and choose a Christian vice president. He didn't see it that time. Now, it has happened in Senate, where the man who is the Senate president is also looking at protecting his own position. And he wants him to go and bring him, who was in opposition when he was running as a Senate president, to come and head whatever he called a category A committee. Now, we are hearing a different one that is happening. They have category A, B, C. But I also know that in Senate, every senator is equal except the principal officers, who are first among equals. Once you are elected, if you like, spend 3, 4, 5 times in Senate. If I'm elected today, we are equal. We have equal vote and everything. We have equal opportunities, depending. And that was why the last of Akpabio, when Akpabio was first elected as a senator, he became minority leader in Senate. That was either 7th or 8th assembly. Akpabio became minority leader. Recently, for the first time, the Minister for Works, who is the former governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, was elected a principal officer. And there are persons who have spent 2 or 3 or 4 terms in Senate. It is because it is their right. If the soul considered or decided that, okay, a first timer will be our Senate president, then they elected him. The law has permitted that. So Abo should let us be. The committee has been inaugurated by the Senate president. And if you do not like it, next time he should also play his politics where he will be favored. But for now, standing committees in Senate has been elected. President Buhari, President Tinubu has appointed ministers in accordance with federal character provisions in the Constitution. Now, all those other positions that is within his powers to so do, they should allow him, just like the former president was allowed to also do. All we want is a better Nigeria and good governance.
All right, thank you.
Still on this, sir, there seems to be some impossibilities to rule out conspiracy in government. And then is it possible to look at this as a provocation in the hearts of people looking at what is going on now? Can it seem like a kind of conspiracy within the Senate?
You see, my brother, politics is all about conspiracy and propaganda. If there is no conspiracy, you can't play politics. Know that and have peace and no peace. People will always conspire to achieve their interests in politics. That was why Abu was the campaign manager for Yare. Yes, I can remember his name, Yare. And they were also conspiring to win Akpabio. Akpabio also conspired to also win him. Now, Akpabio has won. And the people that also supported him need to also be pacified. They need to be pacified. That is why politics is all about conspiracy. So what Abo is doing now is playing his role as an opposition in the Senate. So let him play it carefully till the next 4 years, when this administration, when we also have a next election in 2027. So I don't blame him. He maybe this administration has not met his expectation, because the likes of Senator Alain Dume, who was a former governor in Borno State, who has also served as a Senate leader, today he's from North. Is he complaining? He's a principal officer in the House. He was one of the people that supported Akpabio to emerge. He is now also, I think, Senate committee, either on army or whatever. So did Akpabio say, because you are from North, we are not going to give you certain position? Because he has supported the government, he has supported the aspiration of Akpabio. He has to also benefit from it. So Abo should quietly sit down in the House and observe and contribute where necessary. Otherwise, whatever he's saying here, it does not make any meaning and sense. He's just ranting and crying as somebody who has lost. So I don't blame him for even crying, because that is how losers do.
All right, thank you, Chief. I will take a short break. When we come back, we're going back to Bayelsa State, where APC supporters are said to have pitched tents in droves with PDP's Doyodiri. We'll have that conversation after the break.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Unapproved access to our money will put in the bank.
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
People. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Unapproved access to our money will put in the bank.
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Welcome back to Open Conversation. Bayelsa State governorship elections scheduled for November 11, 2023 is sending panic in the camp of the All Progressives Congress. Chief Timmy Silva, overmoved by his supporters who are pitching tent with incumbent Senator Doyodiri of the People's Democratic Party. Development is becoming a source of worry to the former minister's supporters and party leaders in the state. The close associate of Silva, who spoke to our reporter in confidence, said if care is not taken, the way Silva is going about it, the former governor and his supporters may be plunged into political oblivion and ultimately ultimately be retired from the Bayelsa political space because the events of the past are haunting him and his followers. The source also recalled how Silva led a team of his supporters to meet the national chairman of the APC, Alhaji Abdullahi Ganduje, to raise 11 billion naira to support his campaign. The team met a brick wall as the Ganduje was not enthusiastic about the idea, rather than buying into the idea as the usual practice during a serious election season, like the governorship election. He mockingly threw the task back to Silva by giving him the task to first list the number of persons he had empowered in his state. Silva and his team were given 1 hour to do that, while Ganduje waited to no avail. They left national chairman's residence with fallen faces and utter disappointment. Another source said APC supporters in the state are frightened by the daily depletion of supporters defecting in droves to the ruling party with confidence in the dear administration soaring higher. He also pointed out that Southern Niger people are appalled at the APC's choice of a deputy governor candidate. We see it as an insult to our collective sensibility. However, has Bayelsa State become the state of jokers? We want Chief Silva to tell Bayelsans what happened in the case of Atala Oil Field, OML 46, whose license was revoked under his nose as Minister of State Petroleum. The APC has a lot of baggage to carry, and that is just one of them. John Ebitimi said the indicators, according to the sources, are gloomy, but the APC so long as free and fair election is conducted in the state. However, recall that in the past couple of weeks, the media has been agog with reports about desperation that has gripped the APC governorship candidates' camp. More accusations says they have plans to use beavers machines without appropriate codes, and also the allegation of co-opting fake policemen and INEC officials to manipulate the poll. Also, the APC team tried unsuccessfully to drag the presidency into their campaign by trying to enlist the supporter of the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila. Wow, sir, we have a lot to deal with in this country. I really don't want to put up questions for this. You had the reaction so far. What do you make out of this, sir?
This is pure politics, and drawing instances from what happened in Edo State in 2020, if my memory serves me right, between the incumbent Governor Baseki and Ezeyamu. You recall that on daily basis, several number of persons were decamping from Obaseki's camp to that of Ezeyamu and Oshomole. On daily basis, minute by minute, people were leaving. It was like Obaseki was becoming a lone person, a lone politician, with maybe a few handful of them with his deputy. But in the election proper, the people spoke and voted Obaseki back as governor, even though in the long run, some characters that also aided him, he tried to do one thing or the other, which is also politics to him, if you ask him. People leaving Timi Prisiva camp to Doyediri's camp is not an indication, or it's not a guarantee that it will be the reflection of the election that Doyediri will automatically be re-elected. It's not a guarantee. However, it influences the psyche of the people on how to vote during the election. But it is not a new thing for people to defect, especially those of them in the higher cadre who feel that their contemporaries are not giving them opportunities enough. They will always make the move. How many persons did he carry to make that move? Did he carry 50% of the voters in Bayelsa from Timi Prisiva's camp to that of Doyediri? See, Doyediri is the incumbent governor. He has a lot in his hands. He has the resources, controlling the resources. He can buy anybody he wants to buy at any point in time using the resources. But the question is, has he done enough in Bayelsa State that will make people to beat their chest to say we are re-electing a performer? You see, I'm a member of PDP. And at my level, I should be able to assess people based on their performance. When the former governor of Ebonyi State left PDP for APC, I happened to be in a place where people were talking against. I said, no, this man is one of the best governors that has performed in the state, irrespective of the political party. Go to Borno State, you see that Zulum is also one of the governors that are performing in this country. Just recently, the lives of Oti in Abia State is beginning to change the face of Abia State, Aba in particular, in few months' time. And people are asking him, where are you getting the money that other people didn't get? Now, Toyodiri is one of the governors receiving the highest allocation in the country as a governor from Niger Delta. What change has he brought to Bayelsa? I'm not saying that Timi Prisiba is better than him. We have also tested him as a governor in those days. We have also tested him as a minister. Okay? But I'm just looking at what is playing out. Somebody decamping from one point to the other, it's going to panic. Which panic? Because you are plotting your own game. Another person, you don't even know whether the one that is leaving the camp of Timi Prisiba will even create more opportunity for other supporters to come in comfortably. Because there are some persons that will be in a political party that will deprive others from coming in, that will make other persons from coming to the political party. When you leave, you see people now will come and join quietly and carefully. So for me, all that is happening in Bayelsa now is not different from what is happening or what is going to happen in Imo State and Kogi State.
All right.
Recently, I watched the governor of Imo State also saying that a lot of people from other political parties are joining them. These are the kind of information we'll be hearing now. So it is not a guarantee that you are going to win having anybody defeated their own political party.
Now, still in Bayelsa State, let's look at the confidence, the confidence of incumbency and the desperation of not having incumbency, if you mean, between Silva. I mean, there is a Labour Party, Udensi Radri, that a lot of people don't seem to be looking at, that maybe the dark horse here, because he's got his team as well. But again, who knows? But let's look at between the two key political parties, Silva and their candidates, Silva and Doyediri. Doyediri was in Nimbe sometime last week or thereabouts, pulling down Silva and all of that. The attacks that Silva has received in this campaign, media attacks, direct attacks, and what have you, he has rarely said anything. Why should the incumbent governor use his position to heat up the state, knowing full well that that state is in a very volatile state because of the Nembe Basambari issue, for instance, is ongoing? You go down there, you do that. Now, this stunt is being pulled. We've not seen the people who left in droves. All of these accusations are being pulled out at Silva. Why should, again, come back to you, Chief, the governor of a state who understands the need for the state to have election peacefully is putting himself, using his party and maybe supporters to allow some of these things to play out? Is this politics?
Okay, Vivian, let me just give you a small story.
Okay.
The snake and the frog, the little snake and the little frog, they were friends. Each time they go out, they go and play. Each time they go out, maybe after school or whatever, they go out and play together, eat together, dine together, wine together. So one day, the snake went home. And the mother was like, you're always going out, coming back excited. Who are those your friends that you do play with? And the little snake said, frog. The snake said, you play with a frog every time. Don't you know that the frog is your food?
Your main delicacy.
Thank you. At the same time, the frog, that same day, coincidentally, the mother also asked the little frog, you're always going out. Who do you play with? He said, this little snake. The mother said, wow, you are in danger. Don't go again. So at the end of the day, the other day now, the snake prepared to go and swallow the little frog. And the little frog has already taken advantage of the mom. And that day didn't go out. The snake came and couldn't see the little frog again. So that was how the little frog was saved. And again, something also happened in animal kingdom. That the fowl, the kite was always coming to carry the cow. The little chicken. Once it is towards evening time. one day, the chicken said, I'm going to consult a native doctor to see how we stop this. So the kite also went to that same native doctor to also go and get more chance on how he can grab the now, as he was saying that, as he was trying to tell him what to tell the kite what to do, he was knocking on that basket. Say, as I'm talking, let everybody listen. Oh. As I'm talking, let everybody listen. Oh. So as I'm telling this story to the kite, the chicken should also be knowing how to defend himself. Mm-hmm. You see, politics, whether PDP, whether APC, whether Labour Party that has spring up now somehow, the pattern, the strategy, the mission, the interest is just common. The same statement that Toye Duri has said in Nembe Basabre, which we are condemning, Toye Siba may have studied it, and we go back to that same place or to another part of the state to deny and not say things that will be worse than what the incumbent governor have said. So how, without considering the impact of this to the people? I'm coming. So it is now left for those who have ears to hear, and one person dies. Timi Principal will not die. The governor will not die. Whatever fuel or whatever thing their speech may have fuel to the supporters, it is the supporters that will die. Siba has served as a former governor for 4 years. What did he do in Bayelsa? What lesson did we learn from his administration? He has also served just recently as the minister for Minister of State for Petroleum. What change did he bring? If not in Nigeria Delta as a whole, in Bayelsa. Doye Diri is the incumbent governor of Bayelsa State. What has he done in Bayelsa State? Let people come and analyze and look at and bring them to table and see what happened. Then they will not take a decision. And if these two have not made their aspiration, and there is another person that is also in the system that they have not tested, they may also say, okay, let us test this one. But remember, in politics, one can never be a bad governor or a bad leader if you have not been tested. Thank you. Because the worst devil sometimes may be better than the angels you've not met. Thank you very much.
Well, Chief, that's an adroit reaction from you. We appreciate that. Still on open conversation, the Labour Party says the proposal by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission to begin the implementation of an upward review of salaries and allowances of political office holders is insensitive considering the hardship being experienced by ordinary Nigerians. Labour Party National Publicity Secretary Obiora before said this in response to a statement credited to the RMAFC Federal Commissioner in charge of Gombe State, Kabiru Usman, who in an interview with journalists was quoted as saying, the Commission under paragraph 32B is empowered to determine the salaries of political office holders and judicial workers in the country. So we have undertaken work on it. We have revised it, but we are looking at the situation for now. IFA noted that it was not sad that the same administration which was preaching to Nigerians to embrace belt-tightening measures and calling for patience is the same administration pushing for increases in the perks of office for political office holders. This is happening at a time ordinary Nigerians, especially hard-working citizens, under the umbrella of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress are demanding for living wages without a positive response. This is also at a time that the ill-conceived and ill-timed removal of fuel subsidy has increased hardship among ordinary Nigerians. We should be talking about improving the quality of lives of ordinary Nigerians and cutting waste in government. We in the Labour Party take solace in the hope that the judiciary, which is currently handling the appeal on the presidential election petition court's judgment, will correct the errors in that judgment and give our party the opportunity to make new Nigeria possible through good and purposeful leadership, which our candidate, Mr. P2B, offers. Oh, well, this is a very sensitive situation on the ground. Yes, you know, this is like when we tell our children do this and we head on doing something else, you know, because the crux of the matter here is that everybody is feeling the impact of some changes in governance. And then we expect to see the president, we expect to see at the national level, sir, an exemplary explanation of what you're asking us to do. So why do we keep running this rat race, at this point in time?
Let me look at the message and not the messenger. Because if I look at the messenger, I will be saying a different thing. Because the Labour Party that is speaking here, honestly, let me say that I'm interested, I'm happy that Labour Party is beginning to play the real role of opposition, criticize. But if I'm beginning to look at them as a person, if I begin to look at the messengers properly, I will tell you that assuming that Labour Party is in office today, they wouldn't have done differently from what is happening today. But they are still Nigerians, especially the fact that when their leader was governor of Anambra State, there was no local government was caretaker all through. The man didn't conduct election for one day. I want to deal with the issue. I want to deal with the issue. I don't want. That's why I said I want to look at the messenger, but the message. You see, the message is in order. Because if you want to think about, or if the revenue mobilization and allocation want to think about increasing the salary and wages of political appointees, it should be holistic. Because everybody goes to the same market. That thing that is biting them to know that, look, our wages are no longer enough for us to buy something in the market and sustain us. They should know that the reality of all. If you go to oil and gas industry today, salaries have not been increased. If you go to the health sector, salaries have not been increased. If you go to the power sector, salary has not been increased. If you go to judiciary, every other sector in the country, salary, both public and the private sectors, salaries have not been increased. But goods and services are going up every day, minute by minute. Something you buy now, go back there in the next 1 hour, the price will change. Therefore, if you want to increase salaries of public officers, don't start from the political appointment. For me, it is not reasonable for them to do that and starting from the political appointees, if at all, is what they are trying to do. So I'm with Labour Party on this, irrespective of the fact that, it is also coming from politicians, but they are speaking the mind of Nigerians. I'm with them on this particular issue. The government should suspend about increasing any salary, any allowance off, because political appointees don't take salary, they take allowances. It shouldn't be increased. If the ones for other public officers in different sectors are not increased, it is going to spread doom. It is going to make people feel that the government is insensitive. I think I'm with them on this.
All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly run through Kogi State, where Senator Dino Melaye has something to say to females' involvement in politics. So the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Kogi State, Senator Dino Melaye, has charged African women not to limit themselves in politics, economic, and other social affairs in Africa. Melaye spoke at the She African Forum, where he also emphasized that women are not only important partners in the drive of governance in the globe, but very necessary. Senator Dino also called on the men to join hands for the evangelism for the liberation of African women. The PDP gubernatorial candidate for the Kogi State November 11, 2023 election, Senator Dino Melaye, commended the She African Forum for her consistencies in her activities, stressing that success does not come from what you do periodically, but from what you do consistently. According to Dino, women should be productive and not busy without results, and charge women to copy and get involved in what the men are doing and not to exempt them or exclude themselves. According to Dino, doing the same thing and expect different results will not take us to our destination, so African women should re-strategize in her activities. And here is a report.
Women are not only important partners in the drive for governance across the globe, but they are very necessary partners. And I want to encourage our men that the evangelism for the liberation of the African woman, the crusade for the upliftment of the African child, a girl child, should not be that of women and development partners alone. The men, it is time for us to step into this arena and promote African women. I want to believe it will catapult, energize our women to take their rightful place in Africa. First, don't limit your challenges. Instead, challenge your limits. That is what African women should be doing. And I want to say, all limits are self-imposed. Nobody is going to give you a limit. Only you can create a limit for yourself. Self-confidence is a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure is being in the same place next year as you are today. So we must, as a matter of certain limits, make sure that where you are now, if you are in the same position next year, then you are a failure. Doubting yourself is normal. Letting it stop you is a choice. If you talk about it, it's a then let your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears. What holds you back is not who you think you are. It is who you think you are not. One of the most underrated secrets to success is to start before you are ready. That's one of the most effective secrets to success. Allow yourself to be a beginner. No one starts off excellent. So things must not be perfect before you take off. Quitting won't speed it up. Don't say because there's a slow process, you want to quit. Even if you quit, it won't speed it up. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. And that is why I'm happy with the She African Forum, that despite all the challenges, despite the limitations, they are going ahead, and this is the 10th edition. So success will not come from what you do periodically or occasionally, but what you do consistently. The African woman will not get to the right place in history by occasional
participation. Welcome back now, Chief. The issues around Senator Dino Melaye is speaking of the need for women not to limit themselves. I have also, as a female, I've always wondered, what is it that, every time we say women empowerment, women empower, what is it that limits the woman? Is it the women folk or the society? I went to school, like he's my colleague. We're on the same set. He's a male, I'm a female. When I went to school, I had the same exams with male in my class. Nobody said because I'm a female, I shouldn't write the exam or I should go to the back. I had equal opportunity that was given to my brothers. So speaking generally, but particularly in politics, what limits the Nigerian woman or the females' involvement in politics? Is it self-limit or societal limit?
You see, nature and divine creation itself limited women from certain opportunities. But that is not to say that women are less of a human beings. You see, so that is why once you are born as a woman, ordinarily and naturally you should know your limit in doing certain things. But this is centered in politics. Ordinarily,
does men have this limit too?
When it comes to life, generally?
Yeah, generally, yes. Is there a limit to what a man can do when you say a woman should know her limit too?
There is no limit to what man can do in accordance of what God wants us to do as human being that is good before him. There is limit. There is no limit. Because a man is expected to be the protector of his family, which the woman must operate under. For example, if I'm a man, you are my wife, and I said, please, you will never play politics. I have limited you. I have that age over you. And if you go ahead and play politics, you have disobeyed me. So the only option left for you is to either divorce me or separate from me and then go and play politics. That's the limitation of a woman, and that is the only limitation of the man. But talking about looking at politics here properly, I want to commend Dino. In fact, he has kept my kind of bashing when I tried to confirm that his deputy, his running mate, is a woman. So kudos to him. Ordinarily, whatever he has said here today would have amounted to nullity. But since he has chosen a woman as his running mate, it means that he has passion to actually promote the female cause. That is why I've always commended the former governor of Rivers State, who chose a female deputy governor and made it almost compulsory that all the local government vice chairmen are women. In his cabinet, female are well represented in his cabinet. Even in judiciary, women are given opportunity. In fact, we are almost having more judges, more female judges in Rivers State than men judges in Rivers State. So for me, females should be given opportunities to actually showcase their talents. But that is not to give them the opportunity to begin to see themselves as lords over men. That respect should also be there for men, folks who God has given the responsibility to actually cater and secure the women under them.
All right, thank you. Let's run through this quickly now. Atiku's Special Assistant and Public Communication, Frank Shoibu, in a statement in Abuja yesterday, said the fake news regarding the lifting of the visa ban by the United Arab Emirates was just the tip of the iceberg of what was coming. In a statement over the weekend, Frank Shoibu said, from information available to us, Bola Tinubu is set to push propaganda to overdrive as he heads out for the United Nations General Assembly. He will claim to have attracted foreign investment amounting to $100 billion, but will fail to provide key details. It is all propaganda. It is all a load of baloney. In India, he claimed they had received pledges of over $14 billion, just as his predecessor, President Mohamed Buhari, claimed in 2018 that he had secured pledges of up to 6 billion naira. This is nothing but audio investments. Last month, the NNPC claimed to have obtained a loan of $3 billion, with which it would help stabilize the naira. We raised the alarm that it was all a ruse to deceive Nigerians. Now, we have been justified as the naira is now approaching $1 to 1,000 on the black market. After his trip to the UAE, Tinubu claimed the visa ban has been lifted immediately. Now they have shifted the goalpost after the UAE authorities revealed that the news was false. This is the sort of embarrassment Nigeria will continue to attract in this season. I'll leave that to you, Mr. Bestseller.
Okay. Well, I was almost thrown into laughter before you took that pause. Well, sir, Chief, this is yet again another serious dilemma for Nigerians. What would you say could be the reason for this propaganda? What does the president stand to gain to have misinformed or purportedly misinformed the citizens of this country with this kind of information, only to be confirmed that it was false?
I don't know what the president would benefit from that. If truly there was no, if the ban for visa from UAE was not lifted, and the president comes to tell Nigerians that the visa ban has been lifted, I don't know what he stands to gain, which we are yet to get the real story behind it. But I want to say that coming from the man that is speaking, Frank Shaibu, I know that Shaibu was the Deputy National Public Secretary to APC, to Lai Mohammed. Now, when Lai Mohammed was appointed Minister for Information, Frank Shaibu fought to step into the shoe of Lai Mohammed as the substantial Public Secretary of APC. APC, as at then, did not give him the opportunity to so do. Since that time, he has been a thorn on the flesh of APC since then, and he has found his way out. So what he's doing is also politics, trying to say certain things that will discredit APC and Tinubu government as it were. But the only thing I can say here is that we should wait and see if actually truly the visa ban has not been lifted. Because if an embargo is lifted, sometimes it may not be automatic. There are things you still need to do, that you need to do through your the bureaucratic means to actually set the system back again for people to begin to have their visas. So it may not be automatic, but let's wait. If at the end of maybe between now and the nearest future, we still see that that visa ban was not lifted, then Nigeria will not believe that, look, President Tinubu had just gone to deceive us. But as it is now, he has visited them, had a meeting with the leader of United Arab Emirates, and is back. I think today he's in New York, trying to also join other leaders there for United Nations, whatever they are doing there. So for me, Frank Shaibu is of an opposition party. You don't expect him to say things that will promote the ruling party. He always come up to criticize, and he's doing his work. So I don't blame him. But let us wait as Nigerians to see if actually there was a deceit or the information was correct.
No, Chief, the UAE have come out. They released their reports almost at the same time.
I have seen it now
and in
from
that
social
report,
media.
Not from social media, from their own media.
No, wait now. Yeah. This is Nigeria where a lot of things come out from social media. Let's just wait so that we'll confirm practically. Forget about what is coming up on social media.
What do you think we need to wait to confirm that the visa ban thing?
Go and make an attempt to get a visa to go to UAE. Then you will confirm if it is true or not.
So the one the president also came out to confirm, to say that to counter the initial statement that they made about the visa ban, that wasn't also enough. Until we go to the embassy, we can't confirm that.
No, I'm telling you that until that, because I don't know what the president will benefit coming to deceive his people to say, the visa ban has been lifted. I don't know what he tends to benefit. But I'm saying that since there are two conflict media statements, then people should go and make attempt and see what the reports will be.
All right.
Then we can then confirm that the president has gone to deceive us.
All right, thank you very much, Chief Loveday Okere, for being part of 18 Open Conversation. It's always an honor to host you on Open Conversation. So thank you once again for being here.
I'm glad to be here, and I will always be here.
Thank you very much. And that's been our show, everyone. Now, if you missed any part of the conversation, not to worry, we got you covered. All you need to do is check us out on YouTube and Facebook at Atlantic Television Network. Follow us, and of course, check out all the details of the conversation we had called Open today on issues around politics in Nigeria. And then also do well to follow us on other social media platform, Atlantic TV Network 1 on TikTok and Instagram, and Atlantic TV Net on X. Remember that peace and unity remains the pathway to progress. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic